Hello everyone, this is Alien Reddit Stories, where I tell alien stories off of Reddit. Let's just get into it. I will leave the link for the story in the description. Sorry for my broken English. It's been quite some time since I wrote something in English, and it's quite a long story. A couple years ago, I was sitting right here, where I'm sitting right now, in front of a window with a curtain that's behind my computer's monitor. Looking through the exact same window, right now, I can see the side of the upper floors of a 6-story building. Living in the 4th floor of an apartment complex myself, and I can see a small part of the sky emerging from atop of the other building. It was around 9 to 10 p.m. and I assume it was April the 11th. And I assume it was April 2011. As I remember very clearly chatting with a friend of mine about my birthday. I was trying to convince him to buy me some protein powder so we could start working out together. Then all of a sudden I started feeling a ringing sensation in my ears. It was really noticeable, but it wasn't really uncomfortable. I could easily get rid of the sensation for a couple minutes by swallowing saliva in a certain way, but after some time the swallow trick wasn't working anymore. So I turned off the loudspeakers and called my dad so he would bring me some water and something to eat. I come home really tired and I'm really bad at cooking, so he always makes my food and whenever possible brings me my food to my room. He wouldn't answer, so I tried to get up. I don't know exactly how to explain, but at the moment I tried to stand up, it was like the ringing from my ears spread through my entire body. It was like an itch. I could feel it mainly in my outer ears, feet, and hands. I think he meant feet. I thought I was going to faint, so I sat down. Then something caught my attention. Looking outside the window, I could see half the moon, and it was really bright. Shiny bright. I'm sure it wasn't there before. It could have been there though. My monitor is really bright, and I can't see much through the window at night as my eyes have to adapt to the darkness. But I kept observing it. It was amazingly nice to look at. My dad came in the room saying that he made me some pizza, gave me a slice of pizza and a cup of water. I said thanks and kept staring at the moon. I really have no idea why. It has something weird about it, and I felt like I was trying to figure it out while drinking and eating pizza. I'd say I spent 5 minutes or so looking at it, then the middle of it started opening. Only a small part in the middle of the moon, like a hatch or a portal of some type. I could only see the upper half of the moon though. The lower side was hidden by the 6th floor's building. And I suddenly realized even though it looked like the moon, it wasn't the moon. It looked like a black metallic box. Can't remember if it was a box, but it was something close to that. It was dressed as the moon as it slowly teared the moon disguise. I think it meant teared. The moon disguise and came closer and closer. Then all the ring was gone, the moon was gone, and my dad came in telling me he had some pizza and asking if I wanted some. At the time I was really scared and I didn't want to talk to him because to think I was crazy, so I just closed the curtains and spent the rest of the night watching funny YouTube videos collections with him. He was happy to spend some time with me. Still haven't told him though and never heard any similar story on the internet. I'm not really scared of it. It was a beautiful once-in-a-lifetime experience. Well, that's really interesting. English isn't his first language, so I have some mercy on him, okay, people? I feel like we're gonna make this video a 2-parter because that wasn't long enough to be a story. So, alright. The second story. I was in 5th grade and lived in the sticks, Wisconsin countryside. Our place was an old dairy farm that was basically what you call a hobby farm, since we didn't farm or have animals other than pets and some chickens. Dark and creepy at night, no traffic or immediate neighbors. One night, my mom's friend dropped off her daughter, whom it was decided would sleep in my room. Excuse me. I had to sleep downstairs in my dad's den on the pull-out couch. We all go to bed that night. Everyone is upstairs except me. I make it up in the middle of the night with no way to tell what time it is. All I know is that something is weird about sleeping downstairs. I feel like something is there in the dark watching me. I can see out into the living room from the den, and I can see light. Not normal light, but a spot of light. A bright wisp blue ball of light hovering in the room. I'm scared to the point of being frozen, and I don't mean paralyzed like other stories of sleep paralysis. Just froze, still, watching and not knowing what to do. The light seems to move, but I have no memory now, 30 years later, of it coming closer to me, just that it moved about. I didn't communicate with it, but I remember thoughts of friendliness, don't be afraid, and something about hellos and goodbyes. And at this point, even though I don't feel like I'm in danger, I'm just plain scared and dive under my covers. I wait for who knows what to happen, and when nothing does, I peek out. Nothing is there. No lights, no feeling of being watched. I wait for what seems forever and eventually fall asleep. The next morning, it is the first thing I think about, and instead of me telling my mom, I demand to get my room back for the following night. She agrees after what was probably a tantrum on my part, and I head off for the school bus. That day, our subject starts late, and with an announcement by our teacher. We all had all our classes with a single teacher. Our classmate Mark had passed away last night in his sleep. He had leukemia, which we all knew about. We had cards. We made cards after he had gone to hospital for continued treatment and all that. He had been released to go from a home a week prior, but what we didn't know is that he had been released to go home and die. I had been under the impression that leaving the hospital was a good thing back then. Everyone was sad. The teacher was in tears telling us, and the first thing I thought about was the light I had seen that night. The thoughts of hello, goodbye, and don't be afraid. It really has struck with me for the last 20 years. Some things to know. I'm not religious at all. As much as I would like to believe in something after death, I just don't know what to think about it. This hasn't changed since I was very young. Some things about Mark that I remember, he was the friendliest kid I knew. I was only at the school 2 years before his death, but I remember him being outgoing, seeking friendship with me, and after a certain amount of time showing and explaining why he had a tube in my chest, in my memory, he seemed like some of the cancer children you see on TV that are aware of their terminal situation and are much more mature for their age. I've tried to explain this experience in my head to myself millions of times, and I've never quite convinced myself that the light wasn't my friend, Mark. I've never seen a light like that again, and I have told very few people I ever did. Oh my God, brother, that is so sad. I am so sorry. My condolences to you, your friend Mark. You seem like you guys were awesome friends, man, and I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. I'm rarely, if ever, speechless. I'll see you all next time on Alien Reddit Stories.